So here it is. I have finally finished setting up the whole studio. It looks nice. I hope so. I find it nice. And everything is at its place, and everything has been placed in a very, very precise manner. Trying to keep it nice, trying to keep it clean, and trying to keep it, most of all, functional, whatever the use may be. So, over there we have the studio, what I call the studio, whatever, or the control room. The Mackie console, as you can see, is still here, but it's not even connected anymore. We still have all my interfaces here that are not doing anything anymore, except for one, the MOTU 896 HD. This is the only connected interface that I have in the system. The rest of them are not connected anymore. The Mackie is useless at this point. As you can see, we have two computer screens which will be displaying two different parts of the DAW and the digital console. Here we have the main monitor speakers. The other one is on the other side of the curtain. So if we go into a little detail, we have the grand piano section here. We have two grand pianos in the studio. Here's one. This one is mic'd through two PZM microphones coming out of the piano and going directly to the console. We have a microphone for vocals for the pianist if needed. Then we have a second grand piano here, which is a little smaller. This second grand is mic'd with two SM57s that still have to be placed properly according to sound check. Sound check is going to be happening probably tomorrow. This is the bass amp. It's a hard key. Well, there's the bass amp and there's a bass pod here. We have three basses connected to this system. So here is as you can see, the double bass. The double bass goes directly to the hard key amp through that cable, which is going straight to the passive input. Then we have two other basses, the electric bass and an acoustic bass. So these two basses are connected to the same amp. The acoustic bass is connected to the same to the other the active input of the hard key amp, and the electric bass is connected to the bass pod input. So these are for these two basses. Then, as you can see, there's the drum set. The drum set also needs to be set up by the drummer, and the sound check also needs to be done on this to put all the microphones at the right place and miking it properly. So we have 8 microphones to pick up the drum set. So if we look at the microphones, besides their placement, we have a microphone here on the hi-hat. We have an SM57 on the snare. Then we have a microphone for toms 1 and 2, another microphone for toms 3 and 4, another microphone for the floor tom. We have two overheads right here, and we have a microphone for the bass drum, which is right here. So all of this needs to still be adjusted, and the sound check still has to be done for the drums. Then what do we have? We have here, we have a keyboard section with two keyboards. Actually, they're really vintage keyboards. We have a Clavinova here from Yamaha, and we have a Yamaha DX7, which is an old vintage synthesizer. We are not fans of synths here in this group, so that's why that section is pretty much primitive, let's say. I like this keyboard because it has very nicely weighted keys, so it could serve as a MIDI controller if needed, but also the sounds really the Clavinova sounds really much like a Wurlitzer or Fender Rhodes or nice electric piano sound. Keyboard set is also wired through DI boxes around here. Each one has a DI box, bringing it to the digital mixer. Then we have all these guitars. That's a Fender Strat, that's a Gibson Les Paul special edition. Then we have another Gibson, it's a jazz guitar, it's an ES175. Then we have a Godin Multiac, which is an electrified semi-acoustic nylon strings guitar. Then we have a Takamine, which is a beautiful sounding nylon guitar. Then we got these three guitars. This is an Epiphone, which is a copy of a Stratocaster by Gibson. We have this guitar, which is a Brazilian handmade guitar. It's called Craviola. That's the brand. So that Craviola has a really nice sound. We have an Eldegas guitar here that is not really in use since a long time. What else? We have a small ukulele here. It's a Yamaha ukulele, the small thing here, right here. Has a really nice sound to it. And that's just about it for the guitars. Now we have, how about the amps? We have this amp here, which is a Marshall. This amplifier is especially good for acoustic instruments. So acoustic guitars are particularly well taken care of with that amp. So that's why I have all my acoustic guitars next to it. Then I have an old elk amp here, which is used to just give us some monitor sound for the keyboards. Then we go to the other side, and where we have another Marshall amplifier, which is better with electric guitars. So this amplifier is helped by some pedals and is mic'd with an SM57 again. GT8 Boss, which is a guitar pedal. So this one also, I mean, you can plug in any guitar into this amp, and it's just going straight to the digital mixer as well. Each amplifier will have its own cable. I have a guitar pod here which has its own cable. Any guitar could really be plugged into any amp, and all these amps are plugged into the mixer. So any guitar could be recorded at any moment during a jam. Next we have these trumpets. So this is a flugelhorn. This is a B-flat trumpet, and this is a Stradivarius trumpet in C. So these three trumpets will be mic'd through a wireless microphone. a Samsung wireless microphone, which is standing right here with its charger. The bass is right here. Any of these trumpets could be plugged into that microphone. Then we have, we have the congas here. So there's 3 congas, Latin percussion. Each one has its own microphone. These are 2 Philips vintage microphones, cardioid microphones, which are perfect for this task. Then I have an old Nadi microphone here that I used to use for my trumpet, but since the clip was broken, I managed to mount it on this thing to be able to pick up the conga. So here it is. So all these mics also, again, go to the digital console over there. Then I added up a little pair of congas here, small tam-tams, and a little percussion thing here. This is a nice little thing that I got in Cuba or something like that. And of course a cajon. The cajon will be mic'd eventually with, we can take the SM57 mic from the Marshall temporarily and use it for to mic the cajon. Then we have vocal mics here. We have a vocal mic here, an SM58, which has been set with a wireless adapter. We don't need to have a cable if the singer wants to move around in the room. Another microphone for vocals. This one is a real nice microphone. It's an AKG what is it called? The C535 ES, which is a very standard model. And then what else do we have? I think we've got, oh, of course. Then we have that little thing here, that little rack that I have mounted very, very carefully, and it took me a lot of work to put this together. We have the Behringer digital mixer, the X32 rack, that takes 16 physical inputs in the back of it. And then I have the Behringer S16, that is a digital snake connected directly to the mixer, and that also gives us 16 inputs. These 2 machines have Midas preamps, and these preamps are really, really very good for the money, excellent for the money. They're all XLRs. All these can be connected right here in the studio directly, all the instruments to the machines, and then this is really, really very interesting. All the sound goes to the computer through a simple single USB cable. So basically this studio is able to give us 32 digital inputs and 16 digital outputs. So we can connect every single piece of equipment directly into the mixer, so we can play all these instruments in the same time, and it's all recorded digitally into the DAW. The 16 outputs are going to be used to give each musician a separate monitor mix directly into their ears. Also, I have put here 3 dynamics machines, like compressors, gates, and de-essers, and things like that. Even though I have a lot of processing in the computer, in the DAW, I put these things here just in case I'm going to need any compressor before I reach the mixer. For example, this machine here is you see, a master voice channel. So this is really helpful to pass the main vocal mic through it, which I did. You know, the AKG mic goes straight into this vocal channel, and from here directly to the mixer. Also, I put my trumpet through this Aphex here because I like to have some compressor in the trumpet directly. I still have a few channels available if any other instruments need compressor before going into the mixer. I have marked the exact location of every single stand in the studio to make sure everything is at its place all the time. Underneath every single leg here, there's a little piece of tape that marks exactly where the stand should be in order to be properly placed. So here is a general view of the studio. Here we have a little table that I have built a few years ago. This table has a shape of a guitar. Actually, it has the shape of the Les Paul. And I built this about 10 years ago, and it serves us as a little place to have a little drink, sit down, talk a bit, whatever. So here is the look of the studio. I hope you guys like it. It took me quite a while to have everything set up, connected, check every cable. As you can see, all these, there's not many cables that you can see because I tried to put all the cables under the carpets or hide them somehow to try to keep something very clean. I have put carpets just about everywhere, and as much as I can, I try to keep the cables hidden under the carpets, against the walls, into this little tunnel that I've made here. This is a little tunnel that you can see. It goes under the piano also, and it goes right into the studio over there. There's a lot of cables inside there that go directly to the studio. This door here, this door is actually a way into the studio right behind, so that anytime we need to access connections in the mixer behind, it's much easier to do it from here than to go behind the console to access it. Double glass. These are all Jazzmen. Okay, so I hope you guys liked it. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, please don't hesitate. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.